Today we're going to set up and review this Zempire Aerospeed 10 tent. My family and I already took this out on a trip. It was a pretty good tent, but we're going to set up today. The tent comes in this big tote bag that also has a flap that rolls out. And the flap has these pockets that holds all the necessity tools that you need. It has the pipe to the pump, the handle for the pump goes in here, and as well as the leg for the pump. The pump body itself is rolled up inside the tent in here, but you take these out, you screw on the handle, screw on the leg, connect the hose, and you can start inflating the tent. It's pretty quick. It also has tent stakes, has the brow poles in here, 2 sets of brow poles. It rolls up like this after you put it in the tent. Roll it up and have these buckles that you can compress. So you would do that. Clip it in. And then you will compress them to go in a smaller package. It has 2 different handles, one for you to lift, and this one's for you to carry on your back. So obviously, it's not gonna be for backpacking, it has to be for car camping, and it works really well. So we took it out to Kirk Creek. It's up on Big Sur. We've been there quite a few times. We were actually up there in mid-December, ran into a big windstorm that destroyed our old Kelty tent. We had a Kelty Trail Ridge 8. It's been with us for good 6-7 years. We used it probably a dozen times and works perfectly every time. We love it. It's a 4-season tent. Really, it has rain fly that comes all the way down. But this time we were, I think, facing up to about 30 mile per hour gusts, and probably even higher. 30 to 35 miles an hour is on the forecast, but we feel like it was a lot stronger. Because what happened was it started raining, all the tent stake got pulled up, and because the ground was so saturated, tent stakes, and I had those groundhog stakes too, it wouldn't stay in. Even after multiple times of restaking, it wouldn't stay in the ground, so it gets ripped up. I had certain guy lines that's tied to solid things on the floor. I had guy lines that was staked down and reinforced by giant rocks. Those rocks got flipped up. The part where I had the guy lines tied into like the nearby grill barbecue that's cemented into the floor, it basically ripped the fabric part where it's attached to the tent itself. Both poles that were in there were bent at multiple places. There was no way to bend them back. One of them is basically folded at 90 degrees. Looks like if I try to bend it back, it would just break. That tent basically got destroyed. And I actually bought a DoD RX Pyramid large tent, and we tried it out once. But even though the footprint is quite large, the interior space, because of the pyramid shape where the walls are tilted inwards, that tent felt really, really small. So we didn't really like that one too much. It's a nice tent. I think we'll hang on to it. If it's just me and the kids, the 2 kids, 3 people, it will work. It's a fun tent to set up. But if it's with my wife as well, 4 of us, it gets a little cramped in it. And that's why we started looking around for another tent that would really work for our family. Saw this Aerospeed tent, and it was available REI, so we picked it up and went on a trip back to Kirk Creek. And this time it was quite windy as well. It held on, no problem at all. Probably also because the gust was only about 20 miles an hour, no rain, so it was a lot better. And the tent is very, very roomy. It's huge, and we'll set it up so you guys can take a look.
As you can see, the body is rolled up inside the tent. It's suggested with the instruction that you use the body of the pump to measure how wide you should fold the tent. So for ease of transportation, packing away, you disassemble the entire pump. You take off the handle, you take off the leg, which are all easily screwed on and off. It takes a few seconds only to assemble, as you see here. It has a nice pressure gauge up top that tells you when you're overinflating or under. I had thought that it's going to be a hassle to pump up the tent, but really it was nothing. It took less than a minute to really inflate it to about 7-8 psi, which is enough to for the tent to stand up. It's not tiring, it's not a workout, it's really quick. So I had thought about purchasing an air pump, but realized it's really not necessary. It's very critical. This is not a freestanding tent. You have to stake down the tent at the 4 corners for it to be able to be pitched properly. But because I couldn't stake into the turf, I had used sandbags, which wasn't heavy enough. And as you can see here, I actually had to put some logs on a couple of the corners in order for it to stand up. The brow pole are also very important for the rigidity. So without the brow pole, the tent kind of sway back and forth. So you have to stake, and I would actually suggest inserting the brow pole first before you start inflating. And as you can see here, that the front fly actually also can double as a vestibule as well as a tarp. So it has the grommet at 2 corners that you can actually use a couple of tarp poles to, or any other pole for that matters, to create a nice awning for your front door of the tent. Now you can see that the way it's attached, the fly is attached to the tent at these area. It's nice and solid. We'll do a quick walk around of the tent itself. This is with the front door, awning rolled up out of the way. So you see the 2 D doors right here that access either side of the tent. It has a nice solid ring for you to stake the tent down into the ground. And this is the side where you can open an interior window and have airflow as well as some view. So you can see the rest of those tie. You can also see the air hole. It's really nice and solid, and it's connected to the fly with some thick Velcro shaft. Really a nice looking tent. And you can see the brow pole there that's holding up the tent itself. You did get to stake out the back side of this tent fly with the back awning, because there's dirt right there as opposed to turf. They have really nice zippers, a nice handle, very easy to operate one hand and smooth, doesn't get caught. As you can see, you can zip the whole thing with just one hand. Here's the inside of the tent. So you can see that they have a total of 3 doors. 2 D doors on one side, that's the main entrance, and the back entrance right here. At the top of the interior tent is mesh. so for that nice airflow. But it's pretty good. It's not too cold. It has a nice center strap right there for lights or anything else. It has a clip, so you can unclip things quickly. But this is the other side of that door. And the cool thing is the interior actually has a half window that you can pull open. So it gives you airflow, gives you some view, but still maintain the privacy if you have stuff inside a tent that you don't really want people to just be looking straight in at. So this is a nice feature. It doesn't open all the way up, it only opens halfway. You have these ladder, they call it, I think, ladder storage. So there's a lot of storage. There's essentially 6 pockets on each corner. So a lot of different places for you to put phone, keys, lights, snacks, just about anything that you can fit in there. And they're pretty solid. I have my phone in there, and my son has Nintendo Switch. And over the night, it was pretty windy when we went. With the tent site flapping, the items were pretty solid inside. At no point it felt like they were gonna flop out or anything. So these are nice pockets to store things. And as you can see, you can open up the window and it's nice and bright. You got a really nice view outside. And it's controllable from it's open and closed from the inside, so you don't have to go outside to open or close those windows. You can also see the area where the tent fly only comes down to half of that window, or the top portion of that window. You can purchase the tent wall set, as they call it, to cover that, extend that rain fly all the way to the bottom. And makes it a 4-season tent because now it's much more insulated, a lot less chance for wind, rain to blow in. Now this is the back door for the tent. And on both sides of the tent, if you stake out the awning, it gives you a very good vestibule. There's a lot of storage for shoes, for stuff you just don't want to bring into the tent, but still want some coverage. And this final little zipper that we have here is perfect for our Mr. Heater. So we keep the 20-pound gas tank outside, where we run the hose inside for the Mr. Heater. So that's perfect to run that hose. This is setting this tent up for the very first time at Kirk Creek Campground up in Big Sur. This is by far our favorite campground. It's oceanfront, right on the cliff. Beautiful view. Amazing view. So I've watched a setup video by Zempire a couple times, but still a little trial and error setting this up in the first time. It wasn't too difficult. And my kids love to help setting the tent up. So we were able to set up 4 cots side by side. They were right up against each other, but not a big deal. But the 4 cots fit on one side of the tent the long way, so we basically have the entire other room of the tent wide open. We had a heater there, had a table there, had some blankets on the floor so the kids could crawl around. And it was an amazing sunset. So back to the backyard. This is with all the side windows and all the front doors open. You can see very roomy and has a lot of light. I just realized we forgot to close the Boston valve there, but nothing leaked out. Okay, so I'm going to start tearing it down.
So the first time I opened this valve to release the air, I opened it completely, and the sound was like an explosion that every other camper next to us jumped up to see what was going on. So I'm trying to see if this works better. Give it a slow leak until it deflates before I open up the valve completely. I'm not sure if this will damage the vent more, or if you know, please leave it in a comment. But I would say this is probably one of the more difficult tent I had to put away, because you have to get all the air out in order to be able to fold it up completely. And so you can see here I actually had to unfold it a couple times before I could get all the air out. Next time I'm going to try to use a small pump to see if I can suction the air out and see if that makes things easier for this tent to be put away. Overall, we love the tent. We can't wait to go camping in it again. And I know my kids love it, my wife love it. And with the extra room we have compared to our old tent, we can fit a lot more stuff in there.